Hello students, welcome to Shore of Sis classes. This is our website here, and this is the WhatsApp number. So if you want to contact us, you can contact us through this number. And the subject that today we'll focusing on the physical geology. And today we will be studying weathering in this video. So today we'll be studying weathering. So let's get started. Okay, so this is our topic today. Well, so what is weathering first? So if I say in a normal manner, then weathering means the change of texture or the appearance, we can say the change of texture and the change of appearance of the atmosphere. That is in short ATM. So okay, let me write it in a normal manner for you. Atmosphere. So here this is the normal colloquial definition. So now for in themes we can say that this is the breakdown of rock, or the grains, influenced by some certain parameters. So this is the definition we can use for the weathering. So this is our weathering. Okay, so fine, now we'll discuss this weathering in details in advanced level of weathering. Okay, so this weathering, we can classify this into two types. First one is the physical, or we can say mechanical, or another one is the chemical one, that is the chemical weathering. So chemical weathering and the physical or the mechanical weathering. Okay, now in short, if we just look at a glance, so what is physical or mechanical weathering? I'm just telling you in a short way or in one line, that is disintegration of rocks. Disintegration of rocks or grains, by the physical or a mechanical process. So this is what physical weathering means. Now let me tell you what is chemical weathering. Well, this is also easy. Like when a chemical alteration, there is a chemical alteration, or the decomposition of rocks. So decomposition of rocks or the grains by the process that is chemical weathering, or also the minerals. So here we have studied the weathering definition and the types. Let me show you again. That is, weathering means there is a breakdown of rock or grains influenced by some certain parameters, obviously some environmental parameters. And here is the types or the classification. In geology we can classify weathering into two types, and first one is the physical one, that is the physical or the mechanical weathering, that is disintegration of rocks and grains, and the chemical weathering, that is chemical alteration. This is the second one, by the way. So chemical alteration is the decomposition of or the disintegration of the rocks and minerals. Okay, so here we have ended our classification. Now we'll see these two types in details, this physical one and the chemical one. So let's start with the physical one. Well, so now we will be studying this in details. First of all, this physical weathering that doesn't involve any chemical method. Okay, so this is the first point. I'm writing key points like this. So doesn't doesn't involve any chemical disintegration. And there is no change in mineral makeup. So there is no change in mineral makeup. As I already told you, there is a change in mineral makeup in chemical weathering, but in the case of physical or the mechanical weathering, there is no change in the mineral makeup. Well, now this mineral makeup has nothing to do with this physical or the mechanical weathering. Now the disintegration of this rock, that is what a physical or the mechanical weathering means. So this may leads to this disintegration. I'm writing it for you. Integration of rock leads to detritus, that is the detritus, and this detritus are the fragment that when the rocks break down, when it breaks, that forms fragment of rocks, and that is we call as detritus. Okay, so I'm just highlighting this term, detritus. Okay, now let me change the color. Fine. Now the thing that we'll be studying on the basis of the size, of the detritus, that the first one, there is normally three type of size. That is, first one is coarse grained. This coarse grained, as example, that is sand, and this is the first point. Okay, the second one will be the medium grained, that is the medium grained. And this medium grained is like okay, the coarse grained is sand. It can be sand. Normally for medium grained we use sand, and for the coarse grained we also use the boulders, the cobbles. Normally we don't use sand. Sand is, I think, appropriate for the medium grain. So I'm just writing sand here. Okay. So this is the example of coarse grained, and this sand is example of medium grained. Now it's the time for the small, or we call fine grained. Fine grained. Okay. I'm writing it for you again. Grained. Okay. So for fine grained, obviously it's mud or clay, we say, or sleet. So here we have three type of size of detritus. So I'm just writing it here. Detritus. There are also some factors like development of joints. This joints development is something like when there is a breakage of rock. There is a breakage of rock. So that leads to develop a joint. Developed a joint. Now this joint also get enlarged, or this joint also, what did I say, this joint expands. The expansion of joints, I can say, expansion of joints, that is also the effect of the pressure, the low pressure, and maybe the cooling. That means there is a change of pressure. If there is a change of pressure, that is normally the low pressure and the cooling. So that may also leads to result in the development of joints. So see, this is like a circle. So this is how there is a rock fragmented or the joint developed. Now there is another type of thing. This was a feature, and another type of feature is exfoliation layer. So this is exfoliation layer. This exfoliation layer is these type of layers, this what we call the exfoliation layer. These layers break down, or break off like sheet. So this is the exfoliation layer. Now there are certain classification, or rather I would say some results of physical weathering. There are some physical weathering. This physical weathering are like, there are crystal growth, this is addressing at point 1. The second one is like the thermal expansion, the thermal expansion. Third one is the root wedging, root wedging. The fourth one is this, all are the type that results by this physical weathering or the breakage of rock. Okay, so I will explain it later. First let me tell you what are the types, like forced wedging. Let me use the eraser. Okay, so forced wedging, and another one can be like animal activity, and this animal activity is not that important but important. So animal activity, these are the 5 types of results that may caused by the physical weathering or the mechanical weathering. So we can classify this on the basis of result. The physical weathering, we can classify this in 5 types. So okay, the first one was crystal growth. There is the crystal growth. The second one was the thermal expansion. Third one was the root wedging. Let me write it. Let me use the eraser. Okay, so third one was root wedging. The fourth one was, I guessed, frost wedging. So this is the fourth one. And the last but not the least one was animal activity. So these are the order I told you previously, and I tried to write it down in the same order. Now we will be studying in details, not in brief, but I would like to tell you in short all the definition or all the activities, what happens and what actually causes this. So for the first one, that is the crystal growth, I'm using another pen color. So this is crystal growth that I'm trying to tell you in short. So when rocks break, well, I would like to give it a subheading because otherwise it will be difficult for me to understand you later. So this is crystal growth. So okay, so now first step is rock break. Then what would happen, when rock are already broke down, then water percolates through the pores, obviously through the pores. So, and this water that may contain some ions, and these ions are now making crystal. They are helping to make crystal. So that is how it is crystal growth, and these crystal growth that may leads to result in weaken the rock or expand the rock. Okay, so this is what crystal growth. I think this one was easy, and I'm just trying to make you understand easily so that there would be no difficulties to read further in details. Well, the second one was thermal expansion. Thermal expansion. So, what is thermal expansion? The heat. But it's not the regular heat, because if it was the regular heat, then it would affect more readily. But it is the exposure to some high heat. So, I can say this is high heat. High heat, that is sudden exposure. I would rather say sudden exposure. So sudden exposure of high heats, and that may leads to some breakage of rock. So this breakage of rock, that can be also said as campfire. That is campfire. Well, this is the thing that the sudden exposure of the high heat or the extreme heat to the rock, that causes breakage of the rock, and that is this is actually an example. That is, so this was the example of the breakage of rock, that is campfire, through this heat, the exposure of high heat. Well, moving to the next topic or next point, that is the root wedging. So the root wedging. What is root wedging? Well, when the plant roots are expanding, that is an extent of plant roots, and it grows, so that also may leads to the breakage of rock. So this was root wedging, that is plant roots are extending, they are growing, and these growing roots also may cause of breakage of rocks. Well, the fourth point is quite interesting, that is frost wedging. The frost wedging. This frost wedging is actually when water freezes, that is the freezing of water. So when the water freezes, that increases in the size, increases the volume of the water. So that will be the correct term, volume of water. So this increased volume of water that what happens, that break the roots, or that may break the, or that may apply the force, so that apply the force to the surrounding, to the surrounding, to the surrounding. So this expansion or the extend the force to the surrounding by the increased volume of water, this is the actual cause here. So that may leads to breakage of rock. Breakage of rock. So this is the frost wedging. So what is happening? First, water is on freezing, increases its volume, and this increased volume of water, that is lending the force to the surrounding, and this force to the surrounding may break the rock. Now what is animal activity? So this is animal activity, and this is quite easy, and this is not that much effective than the other points that I have already told you. Okay, so the animal activity is when animals are moving, animals, let me use the eraser. So the animals are moving, or we can say burrowing, so that may crack the rock, or we can also say if there is already a crack in the rock, so that can also extend or expand the crack or the breakage of rock. So these were the 5 points of how physical or mechanical weathering, can affect or we rather say these are the causes of the physical or the mechanical weathering. So this is all about the physical and mechanical weathering. And the second type was the chemical weathering. So to watch the video, please see our next video for this chemical weathering and debit. So chemical weathering will be see in the next video. So thank you for watching. If you have any question, then you can please comment on the below section. So thank you.